Why do we need to bring reverence back in motherhood? I find that I'm becoming more passionate about bringing reverence and honor back to motherhood as I continue to grow, as my children continue to grow. And I don't think I was passionate about it the way I'm passionate about it with 4 kids under 4. But what I'm seeing is number one, women are suffering, mothers are suffering unnecessarily. Number two, there is a devaluing and attack on motherhood where our value is reduced to our achievements and our body and our production. It is damaging to mothers. Number three, we cannot give what we don't have. And if we don't understand our value, then we can't uphold how people treat us. But then we also then communicate to our children and the people we love that they're also not as valuable, that they can't uphold their value. And I think right now there's this kind of like a narrative that we are entitled to make fun of motherhood. Like it's chaotic, it's fun, messy kitchen, messy home, good mother, life is a hot mess. We kind of do a mockery around it. I mean, to an extent, it's funny. I laugh about some of the things that that are out there. But I think it's important to make sure that we are not communicating a culture of excuse and a culture of lack of mastery just because we're mothers. This idea that we have now succumbed to a lesser version of ourselves, a more chaotic, stress, hot mess kind of mama that we have celebrated, never have time, always busy, hot mess looking, and how that now is what's sort of kind of cool, right? What happens to a culture where our children are looking at motherhood and are afraid to be mothers because we have made it so unattractive to both our children and our spouse that now that we're mothers, we no longer are as intimate to our husband, that we no longer take care of ourselves. So we used to, that we can say whatever we want to say, do whatever we want to do, and kind of like, let me just let myself go, drink however I want to drink, let myself go. And I see this meme of somebody who's just kind of like watching Netflix, hair on the back, doing whatever, because now I'm a mom. And I'm really pushing back against this cultural narrative because to me, what it communicates to the next generation is that we're not valuable when we become a mom, that somehow we're now a lesser version of human, that we're not as important as somebody who has a profession because now we're a mom. Well, the world would literally cease to exist if mothers were no longer, if mothers have a boycott. I mean, how would we have children? And I think it's causing a lot of unnecessary suffering for mothers, silent suffering, unfulfillment, because maybe they really want to be fulfilled as a mother, but now they have become a victim to the cultural narrative. And they just think, well, this is where you give up your dreams. I have now a mom. Now I've got 2 kids. I just sort of give up on myself and give up my dreams. We then perpetuate a culture where mothers are not revered the way we revere a Hollywood star or a CEO or a lawyer. Maybe you're a lawyer mom, but you feel like you are more superior when you're a lawyer and then when you're a mom. The reality is that we have reduced the human being to the external value of what they can offer the world, their body, their achievements. And what we need to do is push back against the fact that motherhood does not change our value. Our value is intact. It never changes based on our profession, based on what we look like, based on our mistakes and our failure. We are equally valuable as our children. From the moment we're born all the way to when we die. It never changes. The problem is our understanding of our own value. And that's why, to me, the importance of bringing reverence back to motherhood is so key, because now we're seeing the generational, generational shift where women don't understand their value. And a lot of it based on the training and based on my, training thousands and thousands of women and doing so much research and study is that you can't give value. You cannot give what you don't have. If you don't know your value, you can't hold and look at your daughter in the eye and say, hold your standard, own your value, because your daughter's going to say, well, you're a hypocrite, mom. That's the harsh truth. And so what we want to do is say, and understand subconsciously from a neurological level, really rewire our brain and replace this idea, because sometimes we don't know what we don't know, that maybe we have subconsciously thought of ourselves as lower, lesser version of somebody who has achieved other things because now that we're a mom, and shift back and really say my value, my worth is unconditional. I am unrepeatable and irreplaceable. And what I offer the world is irreplaceable. And we need to wire that into our system. We need to wire that into our homes. We need to wire that into our children. And that's how we begin to bring reverence and honor back to motherhood. That mothers should not feel less valuable or inferior when they walk into a party with CEOs or doctors. We are all doctors and CEOs and mothers, but it shouldn't feel like, oh, I'm more important because I'm a CEO, but secondly, I'm a mom, right? Like I'm a business owner. I've built a multi-million-dollar business, but this is my motherhood. And that's sort of what I'm pushing back and saying, no, I'm a mom of 8. I've built a business, but none of that is even my value. I'm not more valuable because I have 8 children and you have X, Y, and Z. Sometimes women kind of feel like, oh, I'm kind of this more valuable human being, super mom, because I have 8 kids and I'm running a business. I always say that's not what makes me valuable as a human being. That's all great. And thank you. But what we need to do is to consider ourselves as an irreplaceable human being that's so valuable that our value never changes as a woman. Therefore, we never change our value as a mother. Therefore, anything that's irreplaceable and rare, we offer value, right? Like a diamond, we're like, oh, it's this unique thing that's never, it's so rare. It's a gem, or it's an art that's so rare. Well, that's what we are. We're a rare human being that will never be another mom like you, with your unique DNA, with your unique wound, your unique circumstance, and this time in history, with all the different, experiences that you have. You're irreplaceable. You have to own your value. And that's how we begin to collectively, as a culture, as a nation, as a world, to say it is an honor to be a woman. Therefore, it is an honor to be a mother, because nothing changes my value. And as a matter of fact, not even my child changes my value. I'm equally as valuable as my child. And that, not my deformity, not my, my production. And when, as a culture, we start to see human beings with such reverence, then we start to honor mothers. And I just think that, we as a culture speak about mothers not in a way that we used to, with this depth of reverence and kind of sacredness. And I think that we have to push back against it, not in a way where we're screaming and we're like, you need to respect me, I am worthy. And I think that's really counterproductive. We need to own our presence as a mother, and we need to celebrate it. And it begins with us investing in who we are as a mother, that it's not a place where we let ourselves go. It's actually a place of greater self-mastery. It's a place where we are investing in our fulfillment. We're designing our life intentionally. We are working out. We're eating healthy. We're developing quality friendships. We are training our mind. We're developing new skills. We are protecting our relationship. That's what mothers do. There's a sense of reverence in who we are. And when we invest in ourselves, then we value ourselves. I have the hardest time sometimes to get women to invest in themselves. Why? Because they don't value themselves. They invest in everyone else, right? Everyone else's soccer game and piano lessons, all their kids and even their husbands, but they don't invest in themselves. Why? Because they don't see they're equally as valuable, and that they would rather invest in their child than invest in themselves. Yes, it might sound noble, but the real reason behind it is that they don't think they're worth it. And we have to be careful with that narrative, because that is not the sustainable model of actually contributing to our children. Because if we give to our children and we've lost ourselves in the way, we are going to wake up one day and realize, I've lost myself. I don't like being a mom. I actually resent it. Sure, it was great, but I'm kind of done with it. And I kind of don't want to deal with my kids. That's happening. Or I don't even know myself anymore because I've given myself to my children. And now that they're gone, I'm lost without them, because my value because my value was based on everything external. So let's rise together and bring reverence back to motherhood, because I think that this is a generation that's going to push back and say it is an honor to be a woman. It is an honor to be a mother. And that respect, reverence, and value for the sacredness of a mother's life is key in a world that is confused and has lost the sacredness of what it means to be a woman and what it means to be human. And I think we owe it to ourselves to push back, because the world would cease to exist without all of us.